All right. Welcome everybody to this Woods Hole Film Festival Shorts program, Filmmaker Chat. It's an opportunity in this weird world we're in now to get films and filmmakers out into the world and the community and have the kind of discussions that we love to have when we're at a quote unquote regular film festival. And Woods Hole is doing a Herculean job making a version of that for all of us. I am Steve Young. I'm running today's conversation with our batch of filmmakers. I am a comedy writer. I have worked for Dave Letterman and written for The Simpsons and various other shows. I was the subject of a documentary called Bathtubs Over Broadway, which is how I got to know the Woods Hole people. They screened the movie and then subsequently have had me come back for other things. And it's been great fun to be associated with Woods Hole. And so I'm not a filmmaker myself. I've been in a film, but I have had the opportunity to see what filmmakers do, the challenges they face in getting something done at the high level that they dream of. And obviously you all have succeeded at that. You have made your piece, your art, your film, and got it up to this high level where you're in Woods Hole and I'm sure many other festivals. So I want to commend all of you for that outstanding work. One thing we'll talk about maybe in a little bit in a few minutes is possible themes that connect the four films we're going to be talking about here today. I'm not sure if you knew this, but I was presented with this batch of films under the banner not suitable for Hallmark. That's what our friends at Woods Hole decided was a good umbrella to reach over these four short films. And within that, there are some that are have humorous elements. There are some that I would say really do not have humorous elements. But beside all that, there was something, maybe a theme of the extreme challenges and conundrums of our deepest, most intimate human relationships. So that's how we got all four of these films and you folks together. So we will get into all that, but I want to take now the moment to say, let's go around. We have four films here and we have, in many cases, more than one person representing each film. So that's terrific. But I want to say, let's have a moment to introduce each team and who's with us, and also where you are. That is a fun bit of trivia in our modern world, since in a better world, we all would be in Woods Hole, which is my fake background right here. And if you haven't been there, try to get to it, put it on your bucket list. It's a wonderful place. But if you're not in Woods Hole today, I'd love to hear where you are. So let's just go around. Who would start here? Well, we have just on the list of movies that I had, the very first one was Motherhood. So let's hear who's from Motherhood. And don't forget to unmute yourselves. There you go.
Hello. Hi, I'm Edna, and Casey, my friend Casey, is also here. We're both producers from Motherhood. I wrote the story, and I'm also a cinematographer mainly, and so I shot it. And Casey is the lead actress in the movie, and our director unfortunately couldn't join the call. But yeah, hello.
I knew Casey looked familiar. She's in the movie. Okay, very good.
Yes, and I so badly want to be in Woods Hole right now.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and where are you? Where are you and Casey? Where are you coming?
I'm in, I find it hard to say the word, but I'm in quarantine in Switzerland. So I flew in 3 days ago, and now I have to just sit here for 10 days. Because if I don't, then I can get a very high fine.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And I am where she flew from. I am in New York City.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see behind you. Yeah, classic.
Yeah, the skyline in the distance, it's very low.
Okay. Wow, quarantine in Switzerland. Okay, so far that is in the running as the most interesting location detail. But let's see what else we have. Edna and Casey, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Matriarch, who do we have from Matriarch?
Hi, I'm Julia Angley. I'm the director for Matriarch. And also with us, we have Amy and Dawn, who are our two leads. who did a fantastic job in the film. I am joining from Los Angeles today, unfortunately, not Boston area today, but I really wish I was back in you guys' time zone.
Yeah, I can imagine that's not so much fun, but thanks for dragging yourself up. You look fresh and ready to go. So
Thank you. I brushed my hair just for this.
And Amy and Dawn, of course, now I'm having that, oh my God, of course moment, because I watched all these films, and you think, somebody looks familiar. Did I meet you at a film festival once? No, I saw you in the movie. Okay, well, great to see both of you as well. And where are you?
Hi, Steve. Thanks for having us. I'm in Boston.
All right, sort of a good alternate version of being in Woods Hole if you have to be in New England.
I wish.
Yeah, and I'm on the South Shore of Massachusetts. I was in Woods Hole a couple of years ago, and I wish I was there too.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Well, thanks for being with us, and congratulations on picking a convenient time zone. Well done. Then we have They Won't Last, and I believe we got a couple people from They Won't Last with us.
Hey, my name is Portland Tagavi. I'm the writer-director for They Won't Last, and my producer, Rich, is also here.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Hello. And where are you coming to us from?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles as well.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks again for getting out on the of bed on the other side of the country for this. Or maybe you're morning people anyway. I'm not particularly, so I think I'm glad I'm where I am right now. But thanks for being with us. We got one film left, Unholy Moly. David, I know that's you, and I really have my fingers crossed that a miracle is about to happen and we're about to hear that you're also in quarantine in Switzerland. That would make my day, but let us know what's going on with you.
No, I'm in Burbank. I wish I was in Switzerland or somewhere else for the last 4 months, but yeah, I'm the director of Unholy Moly. I'm a bit tired, and I'm sorry if I keep looking off because my roommate's cat is just kind of running amok right now.
Yeah, these are the adorable chaos. Yes, I was going to say you have a friend with you who I recognize.
He doesn't have his own Zoom window, but this is the guac baby.
How many of those exist? That's going to be a collector's item.
It is. This is a one-of-a-kind custom item that we had made, and boy, did it pay off. And
yeah, boy, I gotta say,
just kind of he's a roommate now. Yeah.
And what does the cat think of it?
You know, the cat hasn't seen it before. I kind of sort of I've been keeping him in a little bag since I got back from the Damn Short Film Festival in Nevada, and I was gonna travel to a few more places, so I just had this thing ready to go. And then March, everything kind of went a little crazy, so we just sort of had this boy packed up.
Very good.
For,
yes.
you know, when the day came when he can come out and play, basically.
Yeah, everybody, as of the morning of July 25th, all you folks out there watching us, this is the date and the time. I think it's 8 in the morning. Go on the Woods Hole Film Festival site and start scooping up your tickets to all the things that are playing, and you're going to want to get in on these shorts programs because it is a cornucopia of weird and beautiful and unsettling and powerful visions. And what you just saw David holding there is a character in his film, and it's I didn't think I'd be seeing that this morning, so that's exciting. So
very creepy. Very creepy. Steve, I just want to interrupt you. There's one more film that you didn't introduce. I know I talked before, so you feel like we got introduced, but I was just giving instructions about the name thing.
They Won't Last. Did I run past They Won't?
No, you ran past The Keeper.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to have to upgrade my note-taking system here. 1, 2.
Sorry to interrupt, but
right. Oh, thank you, because I mean, we're all learning how to do this. I certainly am. The Keeper, yes. We have Kenneth and Laura and Bob, and my apologies, but let's meet Kenneth, Laura, and Bob and find out about them.
All right, I'm Bob Celli. I'm the writer, director, and creepy individual in the movie.
You're the guy. Oh my God. Okay.
We're coming to you from New York City.
Oh, good. Very good.
And I'm Laura Delano, and I'm the producer of the film. And Kenneth is.
I'm Ken. I am the DP of The Keeper.
All right. Nice job. Well, that was one I certainly don't want to miss. That was an exciting and provocative movie, and we'll be getting into a little bit in the coming minutes now. We'll go around again and not miss anybody. And just, I want to talk about, without spoilers, because people have not seen your films yet through the film festival here. And I don't believe each of you has seen your colleagues' work on this panel. So hopefully you can give us a little blurb or snapshot of what it is without spoilers, but also if we could, as you do that, also go into a little bit about how it got started, what the origins are, what got you in gear to make this movie that we're now seeing. So let's go back to Laura, Bob, and Kenneth, because my heart is ripped open with my faux pas about missing you. But if we do this right, I can learn to live with myself. So let's talk a little bit about Laura and Bob and Kenneth with The Keeper, what the movie is, and how it got going.
The movie, in a nutshell, is about a lonely widow in search of human contact, meets a collector of art at a speed dating event.
And what could possibly go wrong?
Good question.
The theme of 2020, what could possibly go wrong?
At least there are no hornets in it, so we're good. It got started basically through a dream of hers, which is welcome to my world, which is kind of bizarre. So yeah, she woke up, she recounts her dreams, she remembers them all, which is kind of freaky in itself. She recounted this dream one morning, and I just kind of sat there and visually started seeing images and thought, well, this might be worth following up on. So we put together a script. I wrote the script and she read it and said, we can't do this.
Okay, so a little speed bump in the road.
Yeah, it was too, not in my wheelhouse. I just thought that we can't put this out there. This is just not what we do. But then I kept on thinking about the script after I'd read it. So 2 days later, I went back and said, you got me. I think we have to do it. I'm still thinking about it. So
when you can't get something out of your mind, that's a sign. Yeah. Tells
that's
you
the litmus test.
We need to figure out a way to do this. Yeah, cool.
And then we brought on Ken, and Ken has worked with me now. This is our third film together. So, we have a fairly good sort of shorthand dialogue between the two of us. Laura tends to say that she thinks we're married because we finish each other's statements, which is.
And I read the script and said, Bob, you have to shoot this. You have to make it.
Okay, so there's
and I listened to him.
All right, so it came out of a dream. How does the Writers Guild handle that for credits if it was your subconscious? Well, we can get into that another time. I don't know if that's in our purview here, but all right, comes out of a dream, misgivings, but then it was so compelling you had to do it, and now we have it. So that's a cool story. All right, let's see who, let's go back up to motherhood with Edna and Casey and tell us a little bit about motherhood and how it came to be.
That's definitely two very different questions. So so I wrote Motherhood amongst other things, and it's the story of a day in the life of a woman who is ambivalent about being a mother and who struggles more and more with her child on that particular day when suddenly there's an unexpected solution to her problem. And it came about because I, as a non-mother, often got the question from friends mostly, but also from strangers, whether I might regret not becoming a mother. And that led me to wonder whether mothers also sometimes regret being mothers. And once you Google that, you find very interesting research. And I just found myself digging deeper and deeper into the topic and reading those books and studies, and that inspired the story.
Well, it is a huge eternal conundrum, especially in our modern world where women have hopefully the opportunities to decide what they want to do with balancing quote unquote career and non-career and all that. So I'm sure your movie has struck a chord with a great many viewers who wrestle with these same things. And Casey, had you worked with Edna before, or how did that work?
Yeah, we graduated from the same university. So we met at NYU, the graduate programs there in film and acting. And then through that, we made a first feature together. We just kind of threw ourselves into that world after playing with shorts and that. And then this was a very serious turn. Something that we like to play with is giving voice to kind of like topics and people who feel like they can't speak. And through that, I just wanted to work with her again on this. And then David also, who's not here, the director, he had worked on the feature with us and then this, and kind of just been doing that kind of team and, you know.
Well, I'm sure you have all experienced this and known this in many cases, but when you find people that you click with creatively and can get the result that you're dreaming of, boy, do you hold on to those people like a life preserver in the ocean, because they are not found every day. And if you find the right people, you just say, I don't know what we're going to do next, but we're going to be doing something together. So I love all those stories. And let's see if we have more of them. We have Matriarch, Dawn and Julia. Please tell us a little bit about Matriarch and how it came about, and if you're a team that, well, we've got Dawn, Julia, and Amy, and let's see what the axis of connection is there.
Yeah, so I wrote and directed the movie. The movie it's a very small story. It's about two sisters who have been kind of long estranged, and they get back together for as their mother is laying on her deathbed. But what they are really focused on is who's gonna inherit her fur coat. And so it's a bit of a dark dramedy, definitely inspired by my large New England family full of stubborn women. And yeah, it was a great thing. Amy and Dawn, this feels a little familiar because we actually did our callbacks over Zoom, because I was flying back and forth between Boston and LA while I was producing the film. And it was amazing because we logged into our little callback and they were like, Amy, Dawn, and turns out they'd known each other for like 10 years. And I was like, yes, perfect, estranged sisters, like you guys are it. So it was kind of a little bit of magic about how the whole team kind of came together.
Very nice. Some natural chemistry that you were able to tap into there.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Yeah, so yeah, that one, Matriarch, and again, we're trying to avoid spoilers, but a real dark issue, but also a little twist of something comedic in it too. So I mean, there are all different ways to approach this, and the 5 films we have here are certainly testament to that. But yes, when you hear someone's dying, but they're just going to fight about the fur coat, you think, okay, well, that could go a few different ways, but there is some comedy in that one. Now we have They Won't Last, and we have Richard and Portland. So hey guys, welcome back in, and why don't you tell us a little bit about They Won't Last and how it came about and your connections.
So They Won't Last is actually our AFI thesis film that we shot in order to graduate. But it's about a couple that go to a friend's wedding. The guy is very hopeless romantic, wants to get married, and actually came with a ring to propose after the wedding to his girlfriend, Christine. And Christine is extremely marriage averse. And so in their hotel room after going to this wedding, she kind of gets the hint and when she's trying to kind of like argue against him about it, he basically is just like, I had a whole night romantic planned and you know what, you ruined it, but I'm going to propose anyway. And so he proposes to her, and then you'll see what happens.
Yes,
No, the film was actually inspired by, I had these neighbors that had really loud sex every night, and they were horrible people, and they would have like sex and then they would argue, and then they have sex and they would argue all at like 3 to 6 in the morning. And like I had to go through that for 6 months, and I could hear literally everything they would say. And I just remember thinking, like, why are these people together? What is happening? And I just kind of, the film ended up being a lot more joyful, but the idea that I was actually going for was like people who just like would rather be unhappy together than like alone. So yeah, that was the inspiration for the film.
Well, that is a cool story, and I am so glad that out of the miserable 6 months, you managed to find something of value that will go forward, and you've left those people in your rearview mirror, but their legacy lives on through They Won't Last. So that's a sweet story, and I hope they get to see the movie someday and go, oh my God, look, it's us. Anyway.
They're awful people. It's okay.
Okay, we don't need to dwell on the awful people, but we can be grateful when you give us the nugget of something that we can start off on a project with. And how did you get to know Richard and work with him on this?
I got to meet Richard, Rich. I had at AFI. We did both years together in the same class. And so what you have to do at AFI is everyone can pitch for thesis, and you pitch to the whole school, and then people who are interested will come and be like, hey. And Rich really related to the guy character, and he was like really wanted to be a part of this film. So we teamed up back like almost a whole year before we even shot the film.
All right, well, nice job. We got 5 great films here. We've now talked about 4 of them. So let's go down back to David and find out just a little teaser about Unholy Moly and how it has come to be in the world.
Oh gosh. So Unholy Moly's journey started in college, and not directly from me, but from a friend of mine who is a mutual myself and my producer Heather, who couldn't join us this morning. But so this friend had a toxic ex-boyfriend that I don't know too much about beyond this tidbit, where he texted my friend and my producer Heather back when we were both college at in Arizona, and just asked her out of the blue, hey, can you get so-and-so's guacamole recipe for her? Which was, just incredibly random ask, and just seemed like sort of a way to get back in the good graces of his ex, my friend. And we just kind of took that idea and just sort of perverted it as like hey, wouldn't it be funny as if we produced this stupid idea for our producing class? And sort of flash forward a few years, and we made this movie about a man who sells the soul of his unborn child to the devil in exchange for forcing his wife to make guacamole for him, and things just go into unexpected places. And thus Unholy Moly was created, basically.
Do you personally love guacamole to an intense degree? I'm kind of lukewarm about it at best. Of course, I was still able to be swept away by the power of your movie. So it's whatever you think about guacamole, I think it works. But I was just curious if you have an opinion about that.
I think intense is a big word. No, none. My movie is intense. But I enjoy guacamole. The movie has not ruins or dampened my enthusiasm for it, although it has to at least a couple people that I know. And when you watch the movie, those who haven't, you'll understand why.
There's some
And I
special
apologize.
effects in it
Yes, a
that will
lot.
stay with you. So
You can tell.
Yeah, if you like
can
the
tell I
color
like
green, you're going to like this movie, I think, ladies and gentlemen. But quite a roundup there. I mean, we've got the wildly surreal, tongue-in-cheek, dark humor of Unholy Moly, all the way back up the line to really quite finely observed, realistic snapshots of the human condition and the struggles just people have being themselves and with other people in the world. So that said, it's all been put for now unofficially under the banner of not suitable for Hallmark. They just thought there's some darkness in here which doesn't fit with a cheery greeting card ethos that maybe some of the other movies in the festival may well hit, but over here in this batch we're wrestling with some stuff. And I just wanted to ask each of you now, we are dealing with some dark issues in one way or another in all these films. But do you think, as filmmakers and artists, that although your films may have dark or even pessimistic elements to them, do you feel that you have to have optimism in order to do your work and get it out into the world? And what's the connection there between being, if you are optimistic enough to feel like that's true, how do you balance the optimism and pessimism? So I will leave it up to you. Has anybody got a burning answer? Yes, Julia has raised her hand.
That's actually something I think about all the time, is balancing, because I tend to like darker comedies, darker, things. I like listen to murder podcasts all the time. And so it's that kind of thing where I think like the first short film I had that ever went to festivals, my initial cut of it, it had like this terrible, sad ending. And I kept showing it to people and they kept being like, I don't know. And I was like, okay, all right. And so finally someone was like, cut the last like 3 minutes off of it and just leave it like on a happy note. And I was like, oh, you can do that? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. And so since then I've like actually taken a really big like to ending films in an optimistic way, even if there's a lot of turmoil in the middle, because I do think that we need it. Like, what's the point of media? I think the point for me as like a short filmmaker, a filmmaker, is like, I want it to make you laugh. I want it to unsettle you. I want it to make you think, but also like, I don't want to leave you feeling absolutely terrible. That's not what I'm going for. So I think that the idea of optimism is a big one for me in my work personally.
Cool. All right. Laura and Bob up there, so they seem to have a perspective too. Okay.
Yeah, The Keeper was one of the reasons that, I had the reaction of not wanting to do it, was that I thought that, well, it's too dark. There's too much of this heaviness in this film. We just don't want to put that out there. But my other feeling is that always, along with what Julia said, that if you're able to have a decision, thinking about it and it provoking something, and also maybe having either a glimmer of hope or some humor in it. And what I appreciate about the way Ken and Bob worked with The Keeper was that they found all the humor in it, the way they found the light spots that made it able to be optimistic in a way. And to what Julia said about ending a film, I'll let you tell that story about it actually having, and it was Ken's wife who said,
yeah. Well, we had a couple different endings to the film. I actually put them all together in one cut. So it kept you on a roller coaster ride through the whole thing. And then at the end, it just ended in so many different ways. You weren't sure when it was going to end. And we all got so close to the project that we needed outside eyes to look at it. So Ken showed it to his wife and she goes, it's great. She goes, but you don't really need that last part. Take it out. And subsequently, it leaves it ambiguous. And I just think it works much better leaving the end of that movie ambiguous. She was totally right with that.
Yeah.
Right. There was levity, and there was also, it got dark, and then it seems like you pulled back at the end and like you say, ambiguous. It's almost like the theory of when you get dressed up, look in the mirror and take one accessory off. It seems like you kind of did that with the end of the movie. So you did not want to put something completely bleak out into the world. You wanted to have a sort of swirl of light and dark.
And we're also coming off of our last film, which dealt with racism in New York City in 1945. And, talk about, leaving the theater on a down. It was, as much hope as we tried to put at the end of that movie, you're still dealing with an incredibly difficult subject. So it was important for me as a director to try to tell some sort of different story.
Yeah, well, I was curious as I was watching, and again, we're avoiding spoilers, but oh, wait, no, that's not, so you get to sort of ping pong back and forth a little bit, and to some extent leave yourself wondering, how do I feel about what did turn out to be the end? What about motherhood, which I would say Edna and Casey, on its surface anyway, maybe one of the less optimistic films in this group, but how would you characterize that, and how do you feel about that?
It's funny that you say that, because we also had two endings back to back, and we were three people, so it ended up being 2 against 1, deciding for the ending that we now have, and the other one would have been a bit bleaker actually. But yeah, for me, optimism, I'm definitely a very optimistic person, even when I come out, what Bob was saying, out of a very dark movie, especially with documentaries. But my optimism is more that I believe that we as artists can kick off conversations, and that can change the world. And that's a little bit what we're trying with this movie. And just to put, like what Casey said earlier, to give people voices that feel unheard, that feel like what they're thinking isn't valid. And so that's a little bit what we were aiming for with this story, and also with other movies we've made. And so even if I might not be optimistic about a particular topic that I'm choosing, I'm still optimistic about the world being inspired by us as artists to converse and change, possibly.
I think that's very well said. And a lot of people who make movies that are not fun feel like they're adding to the positivity of the world by trying to push forward on difficult issues. So that is definitely a manifestation of optimism. So thank you for that. And They Won't Last, I would say that had discouraging elements to it, but maybe on balance, maybe it tipped a little more toward optimism at the end. Where would you say, Richard in Portland, you fell on that, and what's your attitude about that?
Well, actually, it's funny to hear everyone talking, because like the thing for us was that the story from the pitch was always the ending, and the ending is a twist, y'all. So watch it. So the ending was always the same, but it was the middle that we were trying to figure out. And so my approach to the film was actually from, like, as you heard, like a pretty negative place about relationships. But I know myself, and I think one of the things is, like, I like watching like dark comedies as well, but I know that what would I want to watch? Like, how would I want to be fed this information? And I was like, I still want it to feel fun. I still want to care about these people, and I still want to like feel the ambiguity of like their relationship, and the story isn't necessarily about like whether or not they actually last in the real world, but for now, that's all we're focusing on, is like, will they last right now? And like, who knows if they do, but like, I wanted the film itself to feel kind of like it had this balance of optimism, but like the negative sides of relationships were still brought up very like up and center and are talked about in a way.
Yeah, we don't have time for fairy tales now. We just want the real deal, the real picture, the sharp edges, and the fun moments together, because that's how it really is. So even in those flashes of the the tough moments, you feel like, well, I guess it's a form of optimism to say we can look at the whole package and still believe that either these people or ourselves are worth rooting for. So I will count that as optimism. Now, David, you and your little green friend, you're kind of running on a different wavelength maybe than the other films. Would you say that that Unholy Moly has anything to say about optimism or pessimism, or that you personally as a filmmaker do?
That's a great question. You know, our film certainly is not a very sunshine and rainbow story, and I think, you know, in a sense, you could say that this is a case of the evil desires of man being done in by oneself is sort of a case that you could make that, well, sometimes in these dark times, like these things just kind of work themselves out in a way you don't really expect. So you know, I think it's just kind of, you have to have faith that these things just sort of work themselves out the way they do, if they're not the way that you expect them. And you know, my approach to this story is like, I kind of wanted to, you know, just sort of take a mirror to toxic masculinity and bash that mirror over the head. And I think that I certainly achieved what I wanted. And it's hard to really, you know, just sort of beat around the bush with that sort of thing. I just kind of wanted it. Sorry, the cat is pulling up the curtains. Oh gosh. But yeah, you know, you just kind of have to make your own fun when you're telling a story like that. I kind of take the Ari Aster had this quote about making his his AFI thesis, which is like, how do I tell this really dark story, and just how do I make that palatable? And that was kind of my approach to my general philosophy of making Unholy Moly. Is just, this is kind of dark. The nature of the idea in itself is maybe a little unpleasant. We certainly go to some places, and there's at least one shot in this movie that I still squirm at. But you know, that's just, you know, but then it's like, there's no way to, you don't reward the behavior of our protagonist and be a responsible filmmaker. You have to punish something like that. So in a way, it's like just desserts, serving just desserts, I guess, to make a story short.
Fair enough. Yes, underneath the surreal dark comedy, you do have some interesting themes that if you want to dig into, toxic masculinity, maybe addiction and its results could be also. So suddenly we're in pretty dark territory with Unholy Moly. Okay, good job. So but as you say, you wanted to be a responsible filmmaker and show that actions have consequences, and that's something that I think all these films that we were talking about today kind of got into that one way or another. I think we're probably looking toward the finish line of our chat today. I think probably another 5 minutes or so, and we'll probably be wrapping up. But I'll just throw out one last thing. Certainly everybody who watches your film is an individual who brings something different to it, and you probably get a lot of different reactions, and that's just the way of the world. But do you all hope that viewers of your film come away with a certain message or a feeling or a truth revealed in a new way? So I'll go back up semi-randomly here. Matriarch, Amy, Dawn, Julia, what do you hope people take away? Oh, unmute. There we go.
My keyboard is dying, so I tried to use the hotkey, and then, you know, disaster. Yeah, so I'd love to know what Dawn and Amy think about this too. But for me, I guess for me, now that we've been talking about optimism, now I'm thinking about that. But for me, I ended up honoring the film in honor of someone who passed away after the production. We filmed at their house, and when I decided to honor him in the film, I ended up writing to his wife and saying, like, kind of, because I had to be like, this is the theme of the movie that I want to honor him in, even though it looks like it's a, you know, people fighting over a code and a funeral and like all these dark images. But I think for me, it's that idea that we can get so distracted by the little things that we miss the big things, and we miss kind of loving the people right in front of us. So for me, that's kind of matriarch. Yeah, I'd love to know what the actors think.
Sure. I love this film. For so many reasons, and I like that you hold on to that message of optimism. I for sure feel that in the film. I hope that people can get from it a message of self-compassion. I think in times of transition, especially transition of life to death, there's so many elements that can come up of, you know, squabbling over crazy things and things that wouldn't even matter to you normally, but become kind of this transitional object for the grand transition. And to have compassion for oneself and one's relationships when you do stupid things or say stupid things or look back on that and go, oh God, I did that. Mm-hmm. So I hope that people find that or see themselves in this this sibling dynamic.
All right. We can, well, we'll get a little reaction from everyone, but motherhood, Edna and Casey, what do you hope people are coming away thinking that maybe they didn't quite know or think before?
Well, I wanted to make this film because I wanted to give the people who thought that across the board, we talk about motherhood, but people who think that I will be viewed as a monster for having these thoughts and the kind of consequence that that can have with someone. So this was kind of a cautionary tale, for lack of a better word, of what could happen if you put yourself and you suppress for years and years and years.
Okay.
I agree. That's what it is, a cautionary tale.
All right. 2 votes for cautionary tale. Okay, very good. The Keeper, Kenneth, Laura, and Bob, a movie that came out of a dream and had a sort of back and forth. We can't do this. Well, maybe we should do this. The end should be this. The end should be that. It has settled into a form that I think you're all happy with, and I applaud as well. But what do you see the ideal audience member who just finished watching this movie? What are they thinking?
Well, I mean, ultimately, I think all of us as filmmakers never want to hear your baby's ugly. You know, because we put our heart and soul into this, and you know, whatever funds that we are able to put in, we try to make them the best we can on limited funds. But we've been doing this for a while, and we realize that, you know what, our job is to make the movie and tell the story that we want to tell. How it is accepted by the audience or anybody who views it, it's theirs. It's not ours anymore. Once it's in the world, it doesn't make any difference what anybody thinks, whether they like it or, I mean, everybody's going to have a different reaction.
But I would also say that along with the feeling that I had after I read it, I would like people to keep thinking about it. So go for the ride, But then
we want you to like it.
We want you to like it, but more importantly, somebody said something about honoring. And one of the things that I'm really proud of in this film is the music, the score, and the original songs. And it is an honoring of a young friend of ours who died way too soon. And her original songs are in it. Her name is Laura Peters. And I'd just like her name to be out there and for people to listen to her music and enjoy it. So that's one of the other things.
Terrific. Yes. Anytime we can carry the torch forward for our people like that, that's a terrific goal as well. Unholy Moly. I mean, you've shown this at a few festivals now, and people probably say, oh, that's a crazy thing in the comedy category, but do people come out of it having serious discussions at all?
You know, it's, I mean, it's certainly a conversation starter. That's for sure. You know, people are, you know, certainly it's a grossed out movie. And that's, you know, I mean, anyone that's come up that and had a conversation with me about it after the fact, like they're usually like, what the hell was that? And it's just like, yeah, that's what it is. You know, I'll be the first person to admit that certainly my this movie is not for everybody, and I'm perfectly okay with that. I wear that on my sleeve. This is just, I just embrace this thing for what it is, and I just hope that you know, you react and maybe you feel a little gross, and if you just, you know, maybe, and if you have a good time, even better. It's more just a very I liken it to a very short, disgusting roller coaster. And just 5 minutes, you come out the tunnel, you're covered in Nickelodeon goo, and you're like, what did I just sign up for? And
right.
I'm just standing there at the other side, like, yeah, that's what that was. And
yep.
Take from that what you will. That's about all I can really say. Is
I like the simplicity of that. This is exactly what this is. Nothing more, nothing less. Maybe it's not for you. That's up to you. Your work is done. It's out there, and as you're saying, once it's out in the world, it's for other people to figure out what it means to them. And you may have hopes, and of course, you want people to love it, and you want people to be thinking about it and affected by it. But you, at some level, it's beyond you now to control what it does out there. And They Won't Last, a movie about commitment, adversity, and romance, and the again, the word roller coaster there, I guess we could throw in. But and what do you hope or aspire to for people seeing the movie and then feeling or thinking afterwards?
I'd love to hear what Rich has to say too, but because I feel like my intention with the film ended up not necessarily being the film, just through the fact that I did make it more optimistic and how their relationship pans out. I originally wanted people to watch the film and be like, marriage is whack. But like what I think is really interesting about what I've talked to with people about like what they do get out of the film is they're like, that's what real love looks like. And like a lot of, I've never been married. I've never been in like a relationship longer than like even half a year. But I have a best friend that I've lived with for like over 10 for almost 10 years in a way. And I put a lot of that into the film, and a lot of married people will be like, that's what like a fight with my wife is like, or that's what a fight with my husband's like. And so people find a lot of like kind of validation in like the ups and downs of their relationships when they see our film, which is really kind of awesome and interesting.
Yeah, in support of what Portland just explained, what I really took away from the film, and what I hope the audience can take away from this film, is that you know, every relationship has its ups and downs. It's not always perfect all the time, but for the most part, it's also fun how they can poke little details at each other, and how that can actually be relatable to every other relationship. Some relationships fight fair, and some can get ugly, but I think at the what we agreed on, from what I remember, is that at the very end, there's always a silver lining. There's always some optimistic solution or resolution for every relationship.
Well, that is a note that I would like to, if not completely end on this very minute, say that let's try to hold on to optimism in all its various forms of complicated, realistic, ambiguous, the whole range that we were talking about today, because we certainly all want to be able to feel that. And I think that when people go to grab their tickets at the Woods Hole Film Festival website, they're going to have a lot of windows into dark, complex parts of life, but hopefully a generous dose of optimism in its various forms, because I mean, everybody says it all the time, but boy, now than ever, we really need to grasp onto the, I certainly think that's true this year. And I want to congratulate all of you. I know from having been at the periphery of the film world, how hard it is to get something from an idea or an actual dream up to be standing on its feet in a way that you believe in, and it reflects your vision and out into the world. A tremendous quiet battle that you've all fought and won, and Woods Hole has recognized that. I want to thank you all for being on this with me this morning and getting to meet each other a little bit. I hope you'll all see each other's films, and I hope we've whetted the appetites of not only you folks, but anyone watching. Wonderful windows into the human experience, and also guacamole and green rubber dolls. And want to thank the folks at Woods Hole, Judy, John, Hannah, who've done so much work quietly and at all hours for a long time to put together not only the regular film festival that they always do, but now this sort of hyperdrive version of online, which is that brave new world they're all struggling with. So July 25th is when everybody can go into the system and start scooping up the tickets to see your work and so much more. So thank you, and everybody out there, if you can get to Woods Hole someday, it's kind of like this, but moving. And hope to see you all in person one day, wherever. But thank you.
Thanks, Steve.